Alrighty, guys. Hello and welcome back to the show. Hope you guys are having an amazing day. Today, we're going to be doing a deep dive into the shields from the various factions, the advantages that each faction might bring to the table in terms of static shielding. One of my subscribers, Scooby, actually reached out to me saying that he saw a discussion on which shields were better in the FAF Discord and that I should do a video on it. You can join the FAF Discord using the link in the description below. You can also download the client down there. And while you're down there, if you find this content helpful or informative, odds are some other Forged Alliance Forever people are going to find this helpful and informative as well. So consider liking the video and maybe subscribing to the channel as well. And lastly, before you hit the comments, watch till the end of the video. I know you'll have comments that are 1000% true, and they will be addressed in the last part of the video, specifically pertaining to Cybran Shields. So let's go ahead and get into it. So to start things off, we're going to be looking at the great and illustrious UEF, switching up the order a little bit, not going alphabetically or really in any sort of order. It's just the way that I happen to write this script. But what's weird about the UEF is that a lot of people look at the UEF as a turtle machine. And while this is true for other reasons, the shields are not really one of them. So their shields are nothing super special. Their shields rank at the second weakest of the factions in terms of overall strength. But really where you want to examine the shields and kind of the metrics that we'll be using to examine all of these shields is not just shield strength, but also the cost that you're going to have to invest versus how much radius of shield you actually get and how much HP you get out of the shield per mass that you put in. So the base specs are as follows. At Tech 2, you're going to be spending 600 mass and 6,000 energy for a 9,000 health shield that covers a 13 space radius, a 26 second recharge time, and 120 HP per second regained. At Tech 3, you're going to be investing 3,300 mass, 55,000 energy in order to get a 17,000 HP shield that covers a 22 space radius, a 24 second recharge time when the shield is completely depleted, and if the shield is not completely depleted, it regenerates at 131 HP per second. So the mass invested per shield point, so at Tech 2 with taking mass invested or taking shield points over mass invested, we get 15 points of shield health per mass invested. And at Tech 3, we have 5.15 shield health per mass invested. As far as radius goes, you're investing 46.1 mass for each point of AoE radius. And at Tech 3, you're investing 150 mass at each point for each point of AoE radius. It should come as no surprise. As with most things in the game, Tech 3 is not more efficient than Tech 2. It's simply stronger. So Tech 2 is going to be much more efficient, and if there were Tech 1 shields would be more efficient than Tech 2. One thing I do need to mention is that I flipped the formula for AoE and health points because it will make it easier to track. So for health, my formula is health over mass, and for AoE, we're looking at mass over AoE. This leads to whole numbers that are easier to compare rather than values like 0.00145 or something like that if we maintain the formula consistency. So let's go ahead and move on to Aeon. The Aeon have a pretty good shield suite available to them. The specs for the shields are as follows: 480 mass and 5,760 energy for a 10 shield radius, 11,000 health, a 27 second recharge time, and a 138 HP per second regeneration at Tech 2. For those of you who are eagle-eyed, you might have just noticed that the Aeon Tech 2 shield regenerates faster than the UEF Tech 3 shield. Moving on to Aeon Tech 3, it costs 2,400 mass and 44,000 energy to get a 17.5 shield radius, 18,000 shield health, and 150 HP per second recharge time at Tech 3. The Aeon shield overall the Aeon shields overall have pretty low radius whenever you're comparing them against the other factions. From a mass invested standpoint, for shield health per mass invested, you're getting 22.9, so 23 health points at Tech 2. And at Tech 3, you're getting 7.5 HP per mass invested. For AoE, you're looking at 48 mass invested for every point of AoE at Tech 2 and 137 mass invested per point of radius at Tech 3. So the Aeon are looking much better at the health efficiency, but are a little bit of a trade-off in the AoE game whenever we're comparing them against the UEF. Now let's move on to Seraphim. So the Seraphim shields, largely regarded as the best shields in the game for good reason. So at Tech 2, we're investing 700 mass and 7,000 energy to gain a 14 radius shield that has 13,000 HP, regenning at 153 HP per second, taking 28 seconds to recharge whenever completely depleted. So the only thing that Seraphim really lose out on is the overall recharge time, but the recharge rate, if the shield is not fully depleted, as well as the overall health, is very, very strong. At Tech 3, we're investing 3,600 mass and 60,000 energy to gain a 23 radius shield with 21,000 health, with a 168 HP per second recharge rate and a 28 second recharge time. So same recharge time as Tech 2, getting about a 10% increase in the overall HP per second recharge rate. In the mass invested front, Seraphim looks higher on the Tech 2 side and middle of the road at the Tech 3 side. So roughly 19 points of HP per mass invested are being put towards the shields at Tech 2, and 50 mass invested per point of AoE. And at Tech 3, we have 5.8 mass invested per point of shield HP, and 157 mass invested per point of AoE. So the Seraphim have the strongest shields in terms of overall brute force. From an HP perspective, they hold the largest amount of HP, but the overall efficiency of mass invested, they do lose out a little bit to the Aeon side. Moving on to the Cybran. The Cybran hold a really unique stance in the shield discussion. They have both the weakest shields, yet oddly the most flexible at the same time. So unlike the other factions, UEF, Aeon, and Seraphim that only have Tech 2 and Tech 3 shields, and there is one model of each of them, the Cybran has 5 different levels of shields. 2 of them are buildable right off the bat by a T3 or a T2 engineer or a commander with the appropriate engineering suite, while the others have to be upgraded too. So the Cybran shields, because of this, they have a really nice benefit. And I mean, I guess every faction technically has this benefit, but you see it utilized more on the Cybran side because of the incremental upgrades. And that is if you have a ED1, the base shield, and the shield is either depleted or nearly depleted, and then you upgrade it and it upgrades or completes an upgrade to T3, the shield will refresh. So that's a nice little kind of added bonus to get a little bit of extra HP and a little bit of extra mileage out of your shields while you're on the front line and potentially upgrading the shields at the same time, assuming you can actually afford it. This is shared by every faction, but the Cybran shields seem to be utilizing it, or seem to be able to use it a little bit better. So let's look at the stats. So the Tech 2 shields, there's the ED1, 2, and 3. Very creative naming conventions, these Cybran. At the ED1, we're investing 160 mass and 2,000 energy for a 4,000 HP shield. It regens at 45 hit points per second with a 9-unit radius, and that takes 23 seconds to recharge. And the 23 seconds to recharge is after the shield has been completely depleted. Otherwise, even if there is only 1% left charge on the shield, it's going to be defaulting to that 45 hit points per second, which if you're doing quick math, it's a little under 100 seconds to fully recharge. The ED2, we're investing a total of 460 mass and 5,000 energy. This number includes the 160 that we already put into the ED1. So if you have an ED1 and then you're moving it from the ED1 to the ED2, it's an additional 300 mass for a total of 460. So 160 for the ED1 plus 300 for the upgrade equals 460. And then 5,000 energy, again, including the 2,000 energy that has already been invested. For this, you get a 7,000 HP shield, regenerates at 88 HP per second with a 25-second recharge time and an 11-unit radius. ED3, we're investing 1,260 mass, so an additional 800 mass, 17,000 energy, and we get a 10,000 health shield. Recharges at 112 HP per second with a 14-unit radius, and it restores in 28 seconds. Moving on to Tech 3, this is the next shield that is buildable right off the bat, and you're not one that you can acquire. Well, you can't acquire it via an upgrade if you want to upgrade an ED3, but this one is directly buildable via T3 NG. It's the ED4, continuing with our very creative naming convention. It costs a total of 2,460 mass with 41,000 energy, gives you a 13,000 HP shield, 130 HP per second regen. 17 unit radius with a 28-second recharge time. The last one is the ED5, costing 4,260 mass and 67,666 energy to deliver a 16,500 health shield, regenning at 140 HP per second with a 20 unit radius and a 25-second recharge time. Some developer somewhere has had, I'm sure, a lot of fun with the fact that there is 666 in the ED5's energy cost. And I'm not sure if that was on purpose or in the name of balance, but either way, we found it. So if that was a joke, well done, sir. Lastly is the ratios for the investment. I'm going to throw them up on the screen this time instead of going through each one because there are a lot of them so that you guys can look at the various tech levels. I've also added previous levels for the ED2 and 3 and 5 because you have to actually upgrade. So that means that the ratios will be a little bit tighter as we're moving through the various tech levels. So that being said, let's go ahead and wrap this bad boy up with a conclusion. So who has the best shields in the game, who has the worst shields in the game, and then we'll stack them in between. Now that you have a headache for all the numbers that are on the screen, we'll get to our last place contender. This shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody, but it's going to be the Cybran. Even though they have the multiple tiers and the high flexibility, this is all of their shields, or most of their shields, are more expensive for what you're going to get. So let's take the top level Cybran shield and we'll compare it against the top level Seraphim shield. You're investing 4.26k mass to get a shield that is substantially worse than the Seraphim heavy shield at 3.6k mass. So the fact that you're spending more money for an inferior product is not a good thing. I don't know about you guys, but I try and avoid that whenever I'm actually buying things. I try to get a better product for a better price, even though there's so many instances out there with computer chips, cars, etc., where for whatever reason people are going to be willing to pay more for an inferior product. In third, we have the UEF for a similar reason. So the UEF's kind of deltas are not quite as egregious as the Cybrans are, but the amount that you're investing in the shield is very high for the amounts of shielding that you're actually getting. So for first and second here, we're going to be, it's a little bit of a tie, and it depends on what you value more as a player. Like if you're actually playing a game, what you value more is going to be dictating which one you would rank first and which one you would rank second. If you're looking at overall efficiency for mass invested per HP point and mass invested per point of area of effect coverage, the Aeon is significantly better, 20 to 30% better, depending on the number that you're actually looking at. So the Aeon shields are much more efficient, but they do lose out a little bit in just the raw overall shielding performance. So if you're looking though for raw shielding performance, like you just want to cram as much HP into as small a space as possible, that's going to be the Seraphim shields, hands down. Seraphim shields, this shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody. Highly mass efficient while also delivering absolutely fantastic shielding for protecting game enders, frontline units, your main base, etc. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This was one that I wasn't super surprised at the results, but hopefully you guys learned something. And if you guys liked the video, drop the video a like. If you're not subscribed, consider subscribing. About half the people that watch my videos are not subscribed. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.